welcome to the Fandom Academy podcast. I am Kyle. I'm joined today by Dan. Hello, Dan.
Dan, that's your cue.
Hello, Dan.
Hello.
Hello. Hi. Welcome to the Fandom Academy podcast. Welcome back from What's West to Westeros. Okay. All right. We'll move this along.
Sorry, I just went to get a water bottle.
If you couldn't tell already, I'm also joined by Rich. Hello, Rich.
Hi, guys.
And we're joined by a special guest in front of the podcast, Tom. Hello, Tom.
Hello.
All right. Now that all that is out of the way, Dan is getting resituated from being back from West to Westeros.
And rehydrated, apparently.
And rehydrated. Hydration is very important here. All right. Before we jump into all of this, don't forget to follow us on Twitter at FanAcademyPod, on Instagram at fandom_academy_podcast. Follow us on Facebook at Fandom Academy Pod or the Fandom Academy Podcast. Check out our website, fandomacademy.com, for our latest episodes, official merch shop, more news about us and what we'll be doing in the future. This is it. This is our final Game of Thrones roundtable discussion, Game of Thrones, the series review. We're going to go into what we liked, what we didn't like, best seasons, worst seasons, best scenes, worst scenes, etc. We're just going to kind of go around about it, see what we like, see what we don't like. Let's jump right into it. Rich, I know that you have 1,010 different points that you want to go over, so let's start with you. What's the first topic you want to jump into here?
I think what we should do, I made a list, and I'm sure you guys would have some things to say. Basically, what they got wrong and what they got right. What we didn't like, what we did like. I think right from the get-go of what they got wrong, we just have to get rid of the elephant in the room. It's something, Kyle, you and I talked about in our reviews for the episodes, and something everyone has said. It's everything that we're going to say in terms of things we didn't like really does stem from the Poison Tree, which is too few episodes last season and this season. So it made everything too rushed. So that's the big number one. We can get that out of the way immediately. And then number two, the limited storytelling that evolved from that, Dany's descent into villainy, the Long Night battle, all that was all rushed, limited storytelling. Number three, Kyle, you and I talked about it a lot. Terrible battle and tactical storytelling. Just not good. And a lot of narrative inconsistencies, like reshaping the geography of King's Landing. Number four, they shrunk Westeros in the scope of the story. Other houses just no longer existed. Number five, the White Walkers, the Night King. There's no story, no background, very truncated long night. The treatment of Cersei is now getting very specific and getting away from the shortened and rushed seasons and episode. The way they treated Cersei's storyline, she was probably, in my view, the best character of the whole series. Not my favorite, but the best. Just, really shortchanged her. Euron even being a thing. Terrible. Number 8, Jon's heritage was way too much of a non-issue. Number 9, Jon's story overall was kind of throughout the season. Number 10, Bran's story and his powers were really wasted. Number 11, there were no Bran flashbacks. I think we deserved at least one. And number 12, I think we deserved a Jon and Davos goodbye. They had a good story together. We deserved a little something. So those are the things that I think they got wrong. What do you guys think they got wrong?
I agree with that list pretty much full-heartedly. And those are all of the major issues. I'm not going to get into all 12 of them.
Right.
But the major ones that stick out to me are the disregard of Jon's parentage and his heritage and who he actually is. Like after they came out and said, like, yeah, you're Aegon Targaryen, this, that, the other thing. Yay. Okay, now what?
Right, yeah, that was kind of it.
Yeah,
exactly. And they didn't do anything with it aside from adding to Dany's madness. But
exactly. That's what I was going to say. And that's what people have said as the excuse for what they used his parentage as. That's not enough. I'm sorry.
Yeah, exactly. Like you build up to this point, it was 6 seasons worth of R plus L equals J.
Right.
And that was the hottest commodity rumor out there.
right.
And the payoff finally happens, and everyone, yeah, he's Aegon Targaryen, let's go. And then it's, oh, but
Yeah.
he's still Jon Snow.
I mean, they ended season 6 with the Tower of Joy, letting us know who his parents were, and that was epic. They ended season 7 with letting us know that he was indeed a Targaryen, not a bastard, and that was epic. And then we got Sam telling Jon, which was one of the best moments of the whole series. And then, okay, goodbye. That's it.
Yeah.
You know?
No, it was a great moment.
Yeah. So Dan, you weren't a fan of the season.
Yeah.
Are there any other specific criticisms that you had? Things you felt
No,
they did
I
wrong?
totally agree with yours. It could have been so much more epic if it wasn't so rushed. Like even like just the second to last episode, like just have one episode leading up to Varys dying, and like
Right.
and then another episode focusing on the Mountain and versus the Hound. Like it should have been dragged out, and it just like X-Men: The Last Stand felt rushed. Like all of a sudden, Jean Grey just turns right into the Phoenix, pretty quickly. It kind of felt like that, and it's like I was so excited because I re-binged the whole series up to this season, and you're expecting like an epic 6 episodes, and I just kind of like Lost. I just don't feel that it delivered. So.
Yeah. Now, Tom, sorry, go ahead. Go ahead, Dan.
No, like season 1 is great. Season 4 and 5, Battle of the Bastards is probably my favorite episode. Like that was such a great battle. There's so many good things though about the show.
Yeah. Yeah, when just a side note off your point, I was making my list of favorite moments from the series and the best moments from the series, and there are moments from this season that do make my list, but I had a hard time putting them in there because as cool as they were also slightly empty. They have like a little asterisk next to them because it doesn't have the same weight as some of the other ones did because of the context that the scenes came in. Tom, from what I know, you might have been more on the same side as me where you might have had some criticisms, but you overall enjoyed it. What were your thoughts? What do you feel that they got wrong?
I kind of agree with you guys. I think at the end of the day, it was way too rushed. Like Dany's descent into madness again should have been built up a little bit more, which I guess we did see earlier on when she would burn people alive. But I don't know. I think my main complaint is there's so many storylines that just never ended. Like the Night King, basically. It ended, but we got nothing out of it. We have no idea what his motivations were. Gendry becoming a lord I thought was pointless. Jaime and Brienne was basically pointless. There's just so much that they gave us. It seemed almost out of like pity that I feel like they could have done so much more with and developed so much more. Like I get Jaime leaving Brienne, but if not to kill Cersei, why?
Right. I think we could agree. Another episode of Jaime and his internal struggle of leaving Brienne and going to see Cersei. We could have, like you said, Dan, we could have used another couple of episodes to see some things. I think that storyline, we could have seen that play out a little bit.
Now, Tom, as a book reader, because you're heavy on that, you took a class in college on it, the whole 9 yards with it.
Wow, nice.
If these endings happened in the book, not how we got there, but if these endings for these particular characters happened in the books, would you be satisfied with it?
For a couple of characters, yeah. For a couple of characters, no. Like, for instance, like Cersei dying to architecture, no, not at all. Jon going back to the wall, I probably wouldn't have liked. Bran becoming king, I actually thought was a pretty good move. And I could see it in the books, but he's still basically a child in the book, so we're not even close to there yet. And I guess Arya's ending probably wouldn't fly in the books either. Just because she's going through all this training, she's blind a lot longer in the books when she's at the House of Black and White. And she goes through all this training to become an assassin. And the Night King kill was really cool, but I don't think she's going to kill the Night King in the books. If she's going to kill anyone, it's going to be Cersei.
Well, isn't the Night King not even a character in the books?
Right.
The White Walkers themselves are,
Yeah, but like there's no like head that we've seen so far.
Not yet. Yeah. There's the Night's King, totally different character.
Right.
but-
Yeah.
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 I think if I gave you, because I made a list of all the characters going into this season and their exact end, how their story ends, not the journey. And like if I was George R. R. Martin and I handed Dan and Dave these endings, you'd say, oh, those sound actually all right. Like you didn't like Cersei. But if I said, all right, Cersei, after building a serious force and squaring up big time with Dany, dies in the arms of Jaime as the Red Keep falls down on top of them. To me, that sounds like, okay, that's acceptable. But
Yeah,
it's
that's
just
true.
the journey there, it's hard to swallow when we see how it got there because it leaves a lot of these endings flat.
Maybe they're still alive.
Yeah, they did.
Tyrion made sure that he took that brick and went a little ham on both their faces.
I
They,
just
they
saw
didn't
that
show
meme.
that, but
I saw that meme this morning. Tyrion making sure Cersei's dead.
so good.
So let's pivot over to what they got right. Let's change it up. Rather than me give my list of a dozen things they got right, which I will. Let's start with you guys. Let's go back to Tom. Tom, what did you think they got right? What did you enjoy this season?
I think Jaime being let go by Tyrion was kind of a full circle thing. I thought that was really good. And even though Tyrion knew it would cost him his life, he did it for the greater good, basically.
Okay.
What else? I
You
thought it was
wanna-
good that they had Jaime and Cersei under that architecture rather than 10 feet away, because they would have lived. I thought the dragon battles up in the sky and the Night King falling and smirking at them, I thought that battle itself was really good, just a little too short. I thought that should have been a 2-episode battle.
Right. Yeah.
Mm.
And another moment I think they really got right was Beric fulfilling his duty. Like, because the Lord of Light basically brings you back for a reason, and once you serve that purpose, you're kind of gone. So him protecting Arya to eventually kill the Night King was another thing I really think they got right.
Yeah, I can understand that. That makes sense. I like that. Young Dan, you had a lot of criticisms. You weren't a fan. Were there things that you did like about this season, moments or certain things that you can think of?
Like Tom said, Tyrion and Jaime's last scene together was great. And then you mentioned before John and Sam's scene, like when he tells them about his heritage. That was good. I thought Tyrion was great the whole last season, and he's probably my favorite character throughout the series. What else was good? The dragons were cool, and I thought the dismantling of the throne was a good way to go. I thought like the last scene with like the round table and Tyrion's speech at the end, how they wanted to do things going forward, like make a change. I think it was for the better. And like it leaves it open to be like, okay, maybe there's some more adventures down the line that, things are better than this season.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. Kyle, you wanna get into it, and then I'll finish us up on this.
Yeah. I mean, the best thing about this season in general was Brienne getting knighted. That was
for sure.
I think that was by far the best and most straightforward, I would say, of everything, and it made the most sense narratively. Outside of that, I'll be completely honest with you. There's just a lot wrong with this season that I can't overlook to say. Like there are some really cool payoffs with everything, like Arya killing the Night King, but like at the same time, how they got there was just so bad.
Right.
That scene, though.
Context means a lot. Sorry, go ahead, Tom.
That scene, though, around the fire with all those characters, might be the best scene in the entire season.
In the entire season or in the entire series?
Season, not
gotcha.
series.
Yeah. Okay. But yeah, no, I would agree. That's just an amazing scene.
Plus,
Yeah.
Pod can sing. Who knew?
I know.
Listen, Pod the Slayer, man.
Yeah.
Ed Sheeran taught him some stuff.
Ed Sheeran taught him nothing. Get the jabroni out of here.
Ah, Ed Sheeran.
Don't insult Ed Sheeran like that.
It was the worst.
All
That
right,
was,
so
that was the worst cameo in the entire show.
it didn't bother me. It was fine.
It bothered me because it took me out of what Game of Thrones is.
Yeah, I know it did that for a lot of people. It didn't take me out enough, but I get it.
Max from Always Sunny was great.
That
Yeah,
was a good one.
I-
Yeah,
Aaron
it's-
Rodgers showed no mobility though.
Yeah, that's true. He could outmaneuver that pocket. He got burnt too.
he's such a dick. I mean, they give
He
him
really
a cameo, and then he trashes the show. I mean, he's always come across as a decent guy, but I don't know.
No, he's not a decent guy at all. He's an asshole.
I know. I'm
like
getting
his
that.
family doesn't even talk to him.
Yeah, his family doesn't
Really?
talk. Yeah, he ever since he got drafted, he doesn't talk to his family anymore. Apparently, there was some
Wow.
like big falling out between
Mm.
him and his family, and then who was he dating for a long time? That they just
Olivia
was-
Munn.
Yeah, Olivia Munn came out and said like, yeah, he's a pretty big asshole.
Wow.
Jeez.
Okay.
Bad
So-
guy.
Yeah, and, like
Alright.
everybody like on the Packers too, pretty much calls him an asshole indirectly.
Okay, so now I'm going to my iPad and typing number 13 of the things that this season got wrong. Aaron Rodgers. He's officially on the list.
Hey, Aaron?
I was I was wondering if I don't know if it's like there's an article on it anywhere, but did Aaron Rodgers, did Ed Sheeran, did they have to like pay to get on the show or anything?
No,
I
they're
don't
all the cameos are done from they're if it's like an actor or a singer, their agents reach out to the show and they're like, hey, so and so is interested in being on it as an extra or whatever, and then they try to work them in if they can.
Into like an actual
Yeah,
scene.
and then there are some people that they reach out that Game of Thrones reaches out to because they feel like they could fill a character role.
Mm.
I believe they actually reached out to Kevin Smith about Jay and Bob.
Really?
Yeah, because they're
I
the
think I
guards
heard
at
that,
Winterfell when Arya comes back.
Oh, God, thank you that didn't happen.
No, that did happen.
I forgot
They
about
they
that.
are. That's
Jay and
them.
Silent Bob are in Game
That's
And I'm-
not them.
No, that's
not-
them.
That's not the actors in that moment. That's not them. 110%. That's not Kevin Smith and Jason Mewes.
No,
It's not. Kyle, it's
I don't know
it's
if it
10.
is.
I will bet you whatever you need to bet that is not them. Maybe it's based on them, but it's not
it's
even
based
close.
on
To, how could you even think that's them? Did you watch the episode?
Whoa.
Tom. No,
Well, welcome to the podcast, Tom.
it's not even close to them. Yeah, let's go to the TV. Oh, let's turn the volume down too.
Yeah, look at that. I'm Googling it right now. Hold on. Continue talking as I research this.
Okay.
And then the only other cameos I know of are the guys from Coldplay and Snow Patrol.
I
but-
know the Mets pitcher Noah Syndergaard was in the
Yeah.
wood train battle.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Clarification on the Jay and Bob, by the way. They were approached for that cameo role, and they could not do it due to other obligations.
Put another way, clarification, you were wrong.
Clarification, I remember it being together somehow. So
Yeah, you literally said they were in the scene. Don't
yeah,
be like
I thought
Daenerys
they
Tar-
were.
Don't be like Daenerys Targaryen. And
There was a
not
tall
own-
guy and a
not
fat
own
guy.
your mistakes.
There's a tall guy and a fat guy. All right,
Okay, so
That's body shaming.
Yeah,
maybe it
exactly.
is.
So then John C. Riley and the other guy that were in the lower, that's a tall guy and a fat guy. That's Kevin Smith and Jason Mewes as well.
Exactly. Everybody's Kevin Smith. Every fat guy's Kevin Smith.
You would make a tremendous witness.
Dude, okay, I
He's
say
not
this to
fat-
Kate
he's
all the
not
time.
fat anymore after his
That's
Hard
right.
Yeah,
to
that's
He's
true.
just
He's not
also-
fat anymore.
Wow.
I say this to Kate all the time. I'm like, I could never be a witness for anything because I'm horrible at describing people.
Yeah, you still think Jack and Hagar was in the first episode?
He
So-
was.
He was not. It's not
He would.
him.
It's the same actor.
It's not the same actor.
It's the same act. He's wearing jeans, Rich. He's wearing jeans.
Okay.
Jeans,
okay,
yeah.
Good. That's good. That's good. All right, let's move on.
That was another thing. I mean,
yeah.
uh,
The
like
mistakes.
the mistakes. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So here's what I think they got right. Number one, the cinematography, the visuals, the music. It's all epic filmmaking. Say what you want about the storytellers, but the people that actually make the show they crushed it as usual. Number two, Arya's ascension. In season 7, it was iffy with her and Sansa, but this season Arya was epic, and of course, killing the Night King. Number 3, Sansa's ascension. We saw a great character arc come to fruition of her learning from people like Cersei and Littlefinger. Number 4, I personally think Jon's ending was perfect. I loved it. Number 5, the ending for all the Starks. I'm glad they got good endings, and I'm glad that their endings were shown in a good way. Number 6, honestly, for me, the ending for most of the characters, whether they were happy endings like Samwell and Bronn and the whole small council, or whether they died, people like Beric and the Hound, they all got good endings. Number 7, the treatment of the secondary characters. They focused on them. People like Bran being knighted, and Theon's journey, and Sandor's journey. I like the way they treated the secondary characters. Number 8, Jaime and Tyrion. Their relationship throughout this season was outstanding. They've always had epic scenes together, but this season they had a handful. In a short season, they were great. Number 9, I agree with you, Dan. The breaking of the wheel and doing away with the Iron Throne, I think it's good. Number 10, I like that the ending centered heavily on Jon, Tyrion, and Dany, kind of the 3 biggest characters. I think they did good with that. Number 11, all of the reunions, and as you said, Tom, with the fireplace scene, all of the overall character interplay and dialogue. For a short season, for us to get that much character exchange and dialogue, I think they did it well. And number 12, telling Jon about his parentage. They may have dropped the ball on the storytelling of how it fit into the story, but just the moment where he finds out who he is, that's a huge moment. They at least got that right. So that's what I think they got right this season.
Sam should have died.
Very
Think
cool.
so?
Oh yeah, I have
Sam should
zero
have sat on
respect
the
for Sam
throne.
Tarly.
No
Okay.
respect.
No respect, zero.
That's a hot take.
And how come?
Because did you see him in the Battle of Winterfell? The guy was literally crying from minute 1 to the last minute. Just
That's a
laying there
great,
crying.
great point.
Yeah, but at
Yeah.
least he was in the Battle of Winterfell. I got to give him some credit for that.
Barely. He was barely in that battle. Ed died
But-
because of Sam.
But remember, he took on the White Walker. Not this season, but originally.
He hasn't come
But
a
yeah.
long way.
And he killed the
Yeah.
thing. You know what I love about him? Because I was watching A Night of the Seven Kingdoms last night. When he starts listing his accomplishments, I killed a White Walker, Thens. I stole books from the Citadel Library. I love how he adds that as
Yeah,
one of his.
That's badass.
Exactly.
Listen,
All right,
that's,
so
that's a
Tom-
capital offense, right?
That's true. That's no joke. So, all right, Tom, you bring up a question I want to ask. I just thought of. Aside from the rush storytelling and the mistakes and the battle mess ups, all that stuff, legit, what's one thing if you could have changed something about this season? Whether it's a character's end or a character story, something in terms of that, what would you change?
Honestly, I think I would kind of like to know where Dany went. I mean, my guess is Valeria.
Okay.
But I would like to either have Jon at that point take his own life, or kind of follow Drogon and figure out where he's taking her.
Okay. I like
Hmm.
it. That's a good one.
Yeah.
A little bit more completion to her story. What about you, Kyle?
One thing I could change.
Or like Tom said, maybe have a little bit more added on to the story so you know what happened. Or
There's a lot that I would want changed.
okay, well,
That's-
the value of the impulse answer in the mind. What was your gut reaction?
The gut reaction is the lighting during the long night. And
Okay, let's
Yeah.
step away from like the technical failures, but more like the narrative, the story.
Okay,
Like-
okay, we're going story. I mean, like, it kind of plays into the story a little bit. If I could
the
change
writing.
anything, it would actually be the no, because I guess that's technical again. I was going to say the battle plans for all these people, because they're all horrendous strategicians and they're horrible at what they're doing.
Okay.
Like stormtroopers.
Yeah, I would. You know what? Something I actually would wanted to have seen, and someone brought this. I didn't think of it until very recently. Saw something of it online. I would have loved to have seen a trial by combat for John, and have
Okay.
him go up against Grey Worm.
You know,
Oh,
I saw
got it.
that too. Yeah, that would have been.
Mm.
Yeah.
So that would be something that I would have loved to have seen added in there.
You know what, man? Yeah, I could do that. That's cool. All right, good for you. What about you, Dan? What do you think?
I wish there was a more satisfying answers to the questions we've had throughout the series. That's what I would change. Just like kind of like Lost. Like there were so many questions throughout the series, and then it just wasn't a big enough payoff for me, at least.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. And I kind of want to change mine back a little bit to figuring out who the Night King, what his plans actually were.
Yeah.
Like
I was gonna say that.
I wish that they
Right.
actually included that into it as well.
Yeah.
But there's so tin hat time, right? Tinfoil hat time.
Mhm.
There are rumors that the spin-off show that's currently filming for Game of Thrones, they're going to go into the real creation of the White Walkers, and they're going to focus heavily, like more than Game of Thrones did, on White Walkers and what they're after and why they were created and everything like that. So apparently the information that we got as to why they were created, the Children of the Forest and everything like that, is only one interpretation of it. So we're going to see the other side of it. We're going to see the human side of it, why these White Walkers came to be. So there are rumors that D&D were instructed by HBO to not tie up that end and not give us a definitive why they're there or anything like that. So it's when they could flesh it out in the prequel.
Okay.
So that's my tinfoil hat theory of the episode.
All right. Yeah, I don't think you're wrong. I think it seemed kind of apparent to a
So then
lot of
that
us.
takes some heat off of them if their hands were a little tied as to
Yeah,
what they
if that's
would say.
true, exactly. I get it then, and I agree. It would take a lot of heat off of them in that one respect of it. But at the same time, like they still get a lot of heat for a lot of other stuff. So
True, but if it's me, and we're sitting out around the writers' room, and we know that that's what we've been told, that we can't, go too far into it. We say, okay, we got to give the viewers something. We've had 2 years, and it's been longer than that since the Night King was introduced, and there's theory after theory after theory, and people want a little bit of something. You couldn't give us one brand flashback scene to something that maybe even teases the next show to say, okay, it satisfies us for now, and it also gives a little bit of maybe this is what you're going to get in the future. I can't think of any examples like Marvel does to show you something like their end credit scenes, at the end of what was it, Iron Man 2? No, I don't know which one it was, where they show Thor's hammer. We know
Iron Man
we
2.
didn't get,
yeah, Iron Man 2.
we didn't get Thor in the movie, but we know we're getting a Thor movie.
You know where we're going, yeah.
Yeah, so that's why, so all
Where
right,
we
that's
came
something to
from,
be
yeah.
excited for. So I think they could have solved that a little better, but I get it.
But is that on D&D or is that on HBO?
I'm going to blame, and honestly, I'm going to blame any type of storytelling failure on D&D. I could be
I'd
wrong.
agree. But
Maybe they're-
Yeah.
I could also see now you have me fucking defending D&D, who have been shredding on these podcast episodes.
I understand.
Whoa.
That's okay.
I could definitely see HBO going time and being like, yeah, don't don't do anything with the backstory. Don't give anything
Okay.
with it.
Yeah.
Because
Plus, didn't they want to do the short seasons?
yeah, they're the ones that
Yeah,
wanted to
so
do the
then
short
it's them.
seasons.
Yeah.
Yeah, cause that's why I more blame it on them because
But like what you're saying is like even if they had Bran doing a flashback, that's one scene that they have to do. That's not a full thing. Like,
exactly.
they could have done that literally at the end of the last episode. Have Bran, quote unquote, looking for Drogon, but he's really going back in history, and he sees something. He sees a White Walker and like a human doing something. They're doing the do, or they're doing, they're trying to make their own White Walkers or whatever. And he sees it, and oh shit! Now this sets up for the next series. Look at that.
But bottom line, everyone feels, for the most part, that the Night King story was too flat, that they didn't.
Oh, I agree 1,000%.
So in the end, it is a failure.
Yeah,
And
100%.
Getting a little bit more. I think the thing that I would have liked is I would have liked to have seen either a Jon and Davos goodbye, because I think those two characters had a good journey together. So throw that in there. I would have liked to have seen Jon and Jaime have an exchange, at least a conversation.
Did they
Maybe-
ever have a conversation more than the trial? Not the trial, but when Jaime first got there.
I
No,
don't
just
believe
that,
so.
just the trial and the war room where Jaime says, "Yeah, the Night King won't expose himself." That's it. So I would have liked a little bit of an exchange. Okay, here's what I would like. This is going to marry my two, not the Davos thing. I already said that. I was also going to say maybe Jon talking more about what his heritage means, as opposed to just, "I don't want to be king. You're my queen." That was it. So maybe a Jaime and Jon scene where Jon is talking about his heritage, because in essence, Jaime killed his grandfather. He killed the Mad King. So, maybe Jaime and Jon talking about it. But so I don't know. Whatever. All right, let's move on to MVP of the season. Let's wrap up season 8. Let's give some finals. So, young Dan, who is your MVP of the season?
Jon. My impulse is to say Tyrion or Jon.
Okay. Why Jon?
He saved everyone from Dany,
Okay.
kind of like Wolverine taking out Jean. He saved Dany from becoming the Mad Queen and killing more people.
That's
like
a good
it.
point. Yeah, he stopped, all of Westeros being destroyed instead of just King's Landing. That's a good point.
I think that's why I like Jon's ending so much. In that final episode, we just see how broken he is, because he's carried the weight of the world on his shoulders for all this time, and he saved everyone either directly or indirectly. So I like that he gets that retirement. So yeah, I could see him as the MVP vote.
Yeah, I get it.
All right, Kyle, what about you?
It's Arya.
Okay.
It has to be Arya. She killed the Night King, stopped Winter dead in his tracks, and if push came to shove, she could kill Dany if Jon didn't.
True.
Definitely.
So like,
Yeah.
Jon doing it was like, from a story point, like, okay, it's poetic, but realistically, Arya could have done it in like 10 seconds.
Yeah,
So did that make him the prince that was promised?
I think so.
That's a good question.
That's how I saw it immediately.
That Jon's Azor Ahai?
Yeah, the whole, Nisa, Lightbringer stabbing it into your love.
I'm not gonna
Yeah.
lie, I straight up just thought you said Meester, as in Jar Jar Banks, and I was like, okay.
Don't you
How
ever,
rude.
don't ever, just let's not, can we not? Tom, who is your MVP for the season?
I was gonna go Arya, but honestly, it might be Sansa. She was the one that put the whole thing into play with Jon's heritage, and she basically took down Daenerys.
Yo, I didn't think of it that way. That's woof.
Now you guys are all looking at it from it can be overall like who just narratively everything was just whatever. I'm losing my thoughts.
So far, all Starks.
Wow.
Yeah, that's true.
That
He's
is
a
true.
Targaryen, Dan.
He's half Stark.
Correct. But the whole series, he was a Stark.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's a Stark.
and he still ends the series named Jon Snow. That's how he does it. So,
Who's your MVP, Rich?
I'm struggling, man. I'm struggling between. I want to go Tyrion. Part
You
of me
want to
wants
go
Tyrion,
who? Okay.
because his character's always been fan favorite, maybe the best character, and the way he ended his journey, he reinvented Westeros. He's the one that chose the king. Part of me wants to go Dany, as much as I don't like her and as annoying and as failed as the storytelling might be. She also had quite a journey. I'm gonna go Arya though. I like her ascension. She did kill the Night King, so
Hey, let's
I'll
get
go
it.
with Arya. I'll
I
just
would
whatever.
love
I
a
can.
spin-off of her like being like Columbus and like Westeros.
So now wait, with that fantasy draft that we did, kind of on a sidebar here, does whoever has Dany, do they get the 1,000,000 kills she had in King's Landing?
I'm looking at this right now. Hold on.
No, it's actually capped from
Oh,
what
really?
I remember seeing. That's what, before the podcast, when I said hang on, that's what I was doing, bringing up our fantasy league. But yeah, I remembered seeing that it was the kills were capped, so Danny doesn't
Yeah.
get all that.
She got 145 points for all those kills.
Should have had more.
Yeah, agreed.
So yeah, before we go to the final score, our final scores for the season, let's do that. The ending for our fantasy league, season 8 fantasy league. Tom legalized Milk of the Poppy with 1,030. He had the first round bust of the Night King. Let's call it what it is.
Yeah, that was. You're not good at first round picks, man. They always just break on you.
Yikes.
Not
I killed the Night
always.
King, basically.
Yeah.
The curse continues.
That's true. That's true. Oh man. Okay, coming in at number 3 was Gene Hackman, first of his name, et cetera, et cetera. That's my team. 1,275. Coming in at number 2, Grace of the Gods. That's Dan's team with 1,470. And coming from you were like second or third last week, Kyle Hodor, King of the Hodors, 1,745.
Wow! So he won this league and the football league.
Back to back.
Wow.
gonna-
Yeah.
Way to
I'm
go,
going to
champ.
put Hodor, King of the Hodors, on that trophy.
And
I saw a meme
Without-
of Hodor. It was like his picture, and he's like, "I held the door for this."
yeah, and Kyle, Danny is the one. Daenerys. She
I
was
had-
MVP.
Daenerys and Bran, because Bran's sitting on the Iron Throne got me
Oh,
300.
did you have Bran?
Yeah.
Oh, I missed that.
I have Bran the Broken, so
Oh,
that's
wow.
300.
Oh, yeah.
I also had Beric Dondarrion, who got me 200.
Oh, yeah, you're not going through your whole roster.
I'm not going to.
You
Those,
You had
those
Danny
three,
and
though.
Bran. Then you go to Barrick. All right. I like
Listen.
that, but it's not worth a mention.
What's that third place?
It's not
Ooh.
cool. It's not cool. It's not cool. Yeah,
It's
I had
because you named it Gene Hackman.
It's true. If it was anyone, if you named it Michael Jordan or Bugs Bunny, you would have been good. Gene Hackman, not so good.
Listen, this is getting off the rails. So let's focus back. I hate you guys, but all right. So let's talk final scores. Tom, let's go with you. What's your final score for the season on a scale of 8.5 to 10? Just kidding. On a
Not
score of
eight.
one, on a
$8.5
score
to
of
10.
1 to 10. What's your score?
8.5. And
I think I'd give it like a 7, which might seem strong, but
What? You cut out there.
a 7.
Okay.
Okay. All
Interesting.
right. What about you, Kyle?
Didn't we do our season scores last episode?
No, we did final episode score.
I thought we did season score as a whole.
You would be wrong again.
I'll go back and re-listen to that. Anyway. The 6.7.
6.7. Okay. What about you, Dan?
No, we did do our season scores because I gave it a 6.9.
We did not.
We did.
Maybe we did. I don't know. But you're giving your official score now. So
6.9. Sticking
okay.
with it.
All
I just like that number.
Yeah,
Hey.
exactly. All right. So
Um,
what about you, Dan?
5.7.
5.7. All right.
Yikes.
And
That's-
Rich,
It's above a 5. I'm going to give it a flat 8.
a flat 8.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think I gave an episode lower than an 8. Clearly a lot of flaws, but you know, I still enjoyed it enough, so I'm going to give it an 8. It's not a rah 8.
All right, fair enough. All right, now on to the series as a whole. Now that we're done with season 8, got a couple questions for you guys.
Okay.
All right, we'll start with Rich. We'll start with you because I feel like you'll have one teed up for this. Out of the entire series of all the characters not to make it to the final season, what storyline was your favorite?
Out of all the characters who did not make it to the final season,
Which one of their storylines was your favorite?
let me take a look, because I do have my favorite characters listed here. I have it broken up into secondary characters and main characters. I think my favorite storyline, even though Tywin is my favorite character to not make it, his storyline, no. Robb Stark.
Yeah,
With Ned,
all right.
with Ned as a close second, but Robb.
I dig it. Tom?
Actually, no. I'm gonna change it. Ned
okay.
Stark's story, I like Robb better, but Ned's story, I liked his in a short time.
Okay. Tom, what about you?
Zero respect for Robb Stark too. But I would say Littlefinger. He was the most conniving character. He knew how to play the Game of Thrones.
I like it.
Okay,
I like it.
it's a good one.
Dan, what about yourself?
Same as Rich, Ned Stark. I was disappointed. I mean, I was sad when he died in the first season, but I thought he would have been like a great leader. Seemed like it.
Mm-hmm. Now, to be clear, I'm not saying he's my favorite, but his storyline, because his story just reverberates throughout all the seasons, right up till the end. So that's part of why I like his story. What about you, Kyle?
Mine would have to be Stannis.
Stannis the Manus.
Yeah,
Okay.
Stannis the Manus. He's a character who had a very similar arc to Dany, but kind of went the opposite direction at first. Where Dany came from, I mean, she came from basically nothing when she was over in Essos or Bravos or wherever the hell she was at first, in episode 1. And then she built her armies up and then came over. Stannis had his armies. He had everything. And you start to see him slowly descend into madness and absolute craziness with, the culminating in him sacrificing his daughter at the stake. So it was fun to see, that development within his character and how he always thought that he was essentially Azor Ahai. And how Melisandre always told him, like, this is you're the prince that was promised. You're the one. You're gonna lead us against the Dark Knight. Oh, just kidding. I'm wrong. So,
Number one dad.
Yeah, dad of the year.
I like it. That's a good answer, man.
I try. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So, on the same foot now, what storylines could you guys have either done without, or would you guys have wanted reworked that did not go through season 8? So any storylines that finished before the last season that you guys would want either completely removed from the show or reworked to fit it better. Rich, you just jumped there, so let's go.
I have 2 immediate answers.
Okay.
One would be Dany's storyline in Marine. I understand the necessity of it, but for me it dragged on too long and I wasn't a big fan of it. It was one that when be watching the episodes, when those scenes would come on, I'd be like, okay. But I really, 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 really wish they had done Dorne a lot better. So that one, if they had reworked that and made that better and focused on their big plan that they had in the books, it's such an interesting and unique kingdom and culture and characters. And yeah, they failed at it. So don't give up. Just do it better the next seasons. And they didn't. So Dorne's my answer.
All right. I like it. Tom?
This isn't like a rework more than it is an addition, but I think leaving out Lady Stoneheart completely was a bad move.
That's
Sorry.
that's a good one.
She's such just a vindictive, angry character in the books, and that could have made I think it really could have added to this season even.
Yeah, I agree with it. Yeah, nice. I like it. And Dan?
So as someone that read all the books you like better than the series?
I kind of appreciate them as two separate stories. I just I kind of view it.
That's a nice way to look at it.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be the same ending. After basically John gets stabbed, at that point the books are done for right now. So it's so different. I couldn't say I like one better than the other. I guess I would say I prefer the books though.
Fair enough. I feel like that's most people too.
Let me ask you a question, Tom. Do you think, because I don't like Catelyn. Everybody talks about her as the great Stark mother. I don't like her because of how she treated John. So personally, I connect with that. I'm not a fan of that. And I noticed how, like, last season, Ned is mentioned over and over and over again, and even Cersei mentions him. And Catelyn is never mentioned in the last couple of seasons the way Ned is. She's never mentioned at all. And I just always thought it's because she's a dick, so I'm happy about that. No, I'm just kidding. I just thought they just never mentioned her. Okay, do you think that they're not mentioning her because they just don't want any mention of her? Because then it reminds people that they didn't use Lady Stoneheart, or am I reading too much into it?
No, that would be my best guess.
I just thought of that now when you said Lady Stoneheart.
Yeah, no, it makes sense from a storyboard standpoint of like topics they want to avoid.
Yeah.
So,
but I do think that there's a Lady Stoneheart Easter egg.
There's that rumor about it.
I like to think that that's true. That's an Easter egg. That they legit did that. That one I want to give them credit for.
Until they come out and say they did it, they get no credit. Pivot back to Dan for a second. Dan, what's one storyline or character development thing that you would either want reworked or removed?
Well, I kind of liked Pedro Pascal's character. I forget his name in the show. Oberyn. And then he had like the most gruesome death in the show. I would rather see him live and like see what that city's all about too, actually.
Okay, so you're along the lines of Rich of wanting Dorne to be more of a prevalent role and not see Oberyn get his head squished like a pimple.
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. I like it.
Dorne did nothing, basically, outside of killing Marcella.
Yeah.
They were just like, hey, by the way, new prince. He's with Dany.
Yeah.
Let me show up looking disinterested. Like they either want to fight you or screw you all. You don't know which.
The other guy that was like Dany's servant, almost like kind of like Jorah, him and Jorah, like I forget his name too.
Dario.
Yeah, Dario. Yeah. And then he just like went off and disappeared.
He was one of my favorite characters. I liked him. I knew he wouldn't come back. I would like to have him come back. Oh, and I'm going to amend some of my answers, either this or to what I would have liked to have seen different in season 8. I would have liked to have seen Howland Reed.
Yeah. That entire just why he's Ned's best friend. He's his best bannerman. This, that, the other thing, and he's nowhere to be found the entire series.
And he's someone that knows the truth about John.
Exactly. So dumb, so bad.
So Kyle, what about you? Answer to your question.
I had one teed up, and I feel like I now need to change because that.
Okay, well, give us both. What was your tee up?
The tee up was the House of Black and White with Arya and the whole Faceless Man storyline. I wish they had done something more with that because Jaqen H'ghar is he's a fantastic character, and I loved everything about him up until they dismissed him, and I kept thinking he's going to come back. They're going to do something with this. They're going to make this important. What's happened? and then it never happens, and there's no payoff, and nothing ever happens. Like, so it's just
Yeah, you thought Littlefinger might have not really died, right?
I was all aboard that theory that little Jaqen H'ghar, who is also Aegon Targaryen, who is also everybody else in Westeros.
Yeah.
So I wish there was so much more that they could have done with that in the entire House of Black and White storyline, and they just didn't, and it kind of meh.
So then, what did you end up changing your mind to, or what else were you thinking?
Reed, and wanting him to be more involved, or at least make an appearance somewhere.
Yeah.
Show his face, do something. Send a raven.
Here's the scene for you. Howland Reed is present at that council where they name a king, and we don't know it's him. And right before Tyrion goes in to tell Jon about his fate, Howland Reed goes in. That's our introduction and our only moment where he talks about Ned, talks quickly about what Ned did for him, kind of gives Jon some closure on that.
That would be perfect. That's all you have to have with that character too, is something along those lines, because it's up until that point, Jon is still seething about how the man that he thought was his father could lie to him, and he was the most honorable person. So if you just have Howland walk in, do exactly what you just described,
Ned would be proud of you. He would be proud of what you did, and know that he did it because he loved you and all that jazz.
Exactly. Like it would have been the perfect. It would have been the perfect ending to the Aegon, like the reveal of Aegon, the whole okay, now we can close this chapter. Now it makes sense that he's back to Jon Snow, going north of the Wall, yada yada yada. That all it flows, and it's okay now.
Right.
But without doing that.
All right.
Yeah. All right. Next question for you guys is, and I already know the answer of Dan. Well, I know half the answer for Dan. What season is your favorite, and which season is your least favorite? And we'll start with Rich. Or actually, we'll start with Tom this time. Screw you, Rich.
Ooh.
Cool.
So your favorite season, Tom?
My favorite season? That's tough. I guess probably 5-ish. That's Battle of the Bastards, right?
Battle of the Bastards is 6.
Then 6. That's the one. My least favorite, just because it was so slow coming out of the gate, would probably just be 1. But it kind of turns the corner when Ned gets his head chopped off, and you're like, oh my, this is how the show's going to go.
Yeah. That was the start there that no one saw coming.
And then the Red Wedding.
Yeah. Rich, what about you?
It's a tough one. I feel like I want to say season 2, because that's when the War of the Five Kings was really underway, and Tywin was at the height of his power, and Tyrion was running things in King's Landing. But I feel like I want to say season 6 as well, because probably my least favorite season is season 5, because it had the Dorne storyline, and it was really, Sansa's getting brutalized, and Jon, it ends with Jon getting killed. And at the end of that season, I was like, I'm done. I can't take this happening to these characters. And then season 6, you get Sansa and Jon reunited. You get the Battle of the Bastards. You get probably the best season finale with Cersei blowing up the Sept. So I like the intricacies of season 2, but season 6 is so epic and brings you back from the depths of despair that they put you in, I think, in a good way in season 5. So season 2 or season 6, it's a tough one.
All right.
I love all the seasons, but
and which is your least favorite?
Season 5, simply because of the fact that technically it's still as great as the others in the way they filmed it and all the stuff. It's not flawed, but I was just so angry with it at the end because of what they did to characters I love. So I guess I'll have to say season 5, but it's not that I dislike it.
Okay.
Just
fair enough.
The law of numbers. One of them has to be last.
All right, fair enough.
That's how numbers work, as far as I'm told.
So. Dan, I think we all know which one is your least favorite season.
Yes. And then favorite is 6. Just
Okay.
I feel the same way.
Hmm.
That was a great season, and it gave so much hope for the last 2, but didn't really pan out.
No.
No, not at all.
No.
Yeah. My favorite is 6 as well for a lot of the points that you guys have already brought up. Winds of Winter is one of the greatest episodes ever created in any episode in any series ever. It's a fantastic episode. It's probably my top 5 favorite episodes of any show ever. The entire soundtrack to season 6 and the score that they have is out of this world. It's probably the best score of any season from start to finish. I
That too. Yeah.
I have this. I never buy CDs or like digital copies of anything, and I went out and I bought the season 6 like soundtrack because it's so good. And I just have that on a perpetual loop, especially Light of the Seven. Light of the Seven is a great track. Would recommend.
And we all saw you, Dan, myself, all saw the Game of Thrones. With
Game of Thrones
culminates with season 6.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, that was awesome.
And I want to recommend all the listeners. I know they're touring again, doing it. Pay the money. Go see the Game of Thrones concert experience.
It's a great experience.
Yeah.
It's absolutely fantastic. 10 out of 10 would recommend.
And yeah, you're right. Episodes 9 and 10, Battle of the Bastards and Winds of Winter. That's Star Wars: First Hope and Empire Strikes Back. Those two, they're those two. You can watch those two. They're unparalleled.
I agree.
Yeah.
And then my least favorite. I mean, this season is like the obvious least favorite, but at the same time, season 7 kinda like. I think I have more of a problem with season 7 than I do season 8, in the sense of they had more episodes and more time, and still just completely rushed everything and didn't flesh out certain things, and that's when all the teleporting started happening, and yeah.
And we kind of thought season 7 might have been an anomaly.
Exactly. That's the whole thing too. It's like everybody was like, all right, season 7 had to be this way to set up a big conclusion in season 8.
Bounce back.
Exactly, and everybody I think had that mindset of it. So yeah, I would say season 7 is my least favorite. Yeah, fuck 'em.
Okay, I get it.
All right, that's all I got as far as my series recaps and everything for you guys. You guys got anything?
Yeah, I want to ask a couple of quick questions.
All right.
I have 2 separate lists. It's hard, like when you make favorite, like when we were doing the best sports movies. It's like, what's your favorite? But objectively, what's the best? But let me ask you guys, like 1, 2, 3, however many you want to name. No more than 5, but just a handful. What are your favorite moments? It could be the best moments of the show, objectively, or your favorite moments, but just what moments from the show really stand out for you, that you loved it, that you were emotionally like, oh, fuck, or just what are your favorite moments from the show? Tom, let's start with you.
I got 2.
Okay.
I think my favorite moment of the show must be watching Joffrey die.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Arguably the best actor on the show for sure, but the Purple Wedding and just how sneaky Olenna and Littlefinger were with how everything went down, I thought that was a great episode. But I think the moment that I felt most strong about was when Bran and the Night King finally face off, and they're just looking in each other's eyes, and the Night King reaches back to kill him, and then Arya just comes out of nowhere and stabs him.
Yeah.
With Bran's dagger or Littlefinger's dagger.
Aegon Targaryen's dagger.
I get it. Sure. Hey, and speaking of Joffrey's death, let me just make a couple. That is when their storytelling was absolutely at its zenith. Because think about that. That moment comes in episode 2 of season 4. And I literally remember thinking, like during that wedding, like fuck, because as a non-book reader at the time, it was like that's not, we're gonna be stuck with this guy. He's a monster, and to do it in the second episode, it was just such a surprise. So that's good storytelling. Granted, it's from the books, so George R. R. Martin gets the credit, but that was great. And we met Jack Gleason at Comic-Con a handful of years ago. He's a golden-haired angel. He is so sweet.
Wow.
I heard he's a great guy.
Yeah, he's just absolutely wonderful. And from here on out, me, Annie, and our friend Eileen that met him, we say nothing bad about Joffrey. Anytime we mention Joffrey, we call him a golden-haired angel because he is.
He just
So
strings
sweet.
the prostitutes and shoots them with crossbows. But he's
Don't
a
you
golden-haired
badmouth
angel.
that golden-haired angel. He's a doll. But all right, that's cool. Those are two good moments. Joffrey's death and Arya killing the Night King. What about you, Dan? What favorite moments or moments that really stuck out for you in the series run?
The battles, like Battle of the Bastards, Blackwater, fighting the White Walkers. That was scary. Like in the snow and the ice, like falling through the water and stuff. The dead bear coming and attacking.
Oh yeah.
That was They had a lot of great battle scenes.
Yeah, I would agree. And it seemed like technically they only got better. There were flaws, but they really just, well, all right, how are we going to outdo ourselves? And then Battle of the Bastards. It's like, geez.
And John's storyline I liked, and coming from being looked down on a bastard, now he thought he had a great ending. And then Peter Dinklage's acting, I thought he was the best throughout the series, probably.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Wow, that's a good list, Dan. I'm glad we're ending on positive here with that. So you have a little bit better positive outlook on Game of Thrones, because it's true, the recency
Gotta stay
bias.
positive.
Yeah. What about you, Kyle? What moments did you love or really were epic or awesome or great?
Dan just teed up a perfect segue for me. Peter Dinklage's acting, especially in season 4, episode 6, The Laws of God and Men, when he demands the trial by combat, might be one of the greatest acting scenes I've ever seen in my life.
The trial was great.
Yeah.
That entire sequence was amazing.
Yeah.
And every word that was written, every facial expression that was shown, all the physical emotion that was being on display from everybody involved was fantastic. But Peter Dinklage, I feel like that scene alone should have won him an Emmy.
Yeah, well, I think it did.
It better. I don't. As you guys know, I don't.
Did he won the Emmy for the show?
I think he's won either 2, maybe 3
wow.
times.
Yeah,
Awesome.
I don't follow that crap, but he better have won for that, because that scene was just phenomenal from top to bottom.
There's a great meme of him when they announce it, and he's sitting in the seat, like hunched down, like he wants no part of it, and all around him, like Nikolai Costa-Waldau and Lena Headey and Kit Harington, they're all excited, and it's like when you don't want a birthday party and they surprise you. It's a meme. But yeah, that's number 6 on my list. That's an epic scene. That one.
God, you have 6 things on your list? Okay, that's and then
I have a top 25.
Oh my god!
And then a separate
Christ.
top 10 of ones that aren't my favorite, but they're epic.
He's won 3 Emmys.
Has he really? Wow. And Lena Headey hasn't won any.
Yeah, that's a shame.
Yeah.
Again, I don't care for that crap, as you guys know, but like that's a shame. She's fantastic.
She is. I looked at her competition a few years, and it's like, all right,
Just a case of bad years, or
yeah,
good
sometimes
years, I guess.
It's
And
tough.
Dinklage is also super nice. He was the nicest one out of all the X-Men.
Really?
I could believe that. Yeah.
Wow. Okay, that's awesome. I love hearing that.
Um,
So Kyle, was that
that's one of my favorites. The other favorite is at Hardhome, when Jon and the Wildlings and the Night's Watch are all battling back all the dead, and the White Walker comes down, and Jon and the White Walker face off, and they clink swords for the first time. That scene just still gives me goosebumps.
Yeah. And the way I love the sound in that everything goes
exactly
deaf.
the ping and everything just stops around them, and there's no noise, there's no nothing, and you just see Jon. You see Kit Harington's face. And again, another great scene of just visualization and the acting that is happening just through their physical appearance. And you know, his face that he makes is like, oh shit, let's fucking go. And that was
yeah,
that was a fantastic scene for me. So those are the two like lasting scenes for me.
Didn't you mention a couple right before the trial got by request? Wasn't there one or two, or did I not hear it? Or
what was that?
You said Jon versus the White Walker from Hardhome. Tyrion demanding a trial by combat. Didn't you say something right before that though, or did I miss it?
No, I was saying about how Dan teed up a segue for Peter Dinklage.
Oh, right. Trial. Okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, you're good. You're good.
Yeah.
All right, Rich, and your abridged list.
I'm not going through all 25. I won't do that to you. For me, I think my favorite moment.
We'll start at the bottom and work your way up.
Yeah, number 25, Danny meets the Grey Boys. When Danny gets the Unsullied army and lights up the slavers, I love that moment from start to finish because I didn't expect it. It's like she's giving away a dragon, and the Dracarys, and that's back when we liked Danny.
Yeah,
I thought that was great. But that's one moment I go back and rewatch sometimes, and I love it. I like that my 1 and 2. One is the action moment, and the other one is a dialogue moment when Jaime. In the hot tub. I don't think we can call it hot tub, but I'm gonna. When he tells Brienne about the Mad King, the acting, the story, that's when Jaime's turn. His story took a great turn. So I love that. So Danny getting the Unsullied and Jaime telling Brienne about the Mad King. And I'll add a third, I'm sorry. In the Winds of Winter, the Tower of Joy reveal about who Jon is. And in that moment, knowing what Ned did for Jon, letting himself protect him, and also be considered a dishonorable man, fathering a bastard. He allowed that his reputation to take that hit. You know, to care for that child. And then it leads right into, they show the baby's face, and it leads right into Jon's face at Winterfell, and he gets crowned king by Lyanna Mormont. So those are my favorites, I think.
I agree with the Tower of Joy. Those were all good moments. What else you got for us? You said that you had a couple more things.
Last question. I think we'll end on this.
Well, I got one more after you, so we'll.
Okay. All right. Cool. I want to know your favorite characters. I want to know main characters and secondary characters, like 1 or 2. You could say 1 if you want main character, or 1 or 2 secondary characters.
All right. What are we considering main characters all the way through? Yeah, like people that made it through to like season 8, or are we considering main characters in like season 1 and 2?
Season 1 and 2, like Ned Stark, Robb Stark, Tywin. Fair. So, and same thing with secondary. And if you name someone, I'll tell you it's a secondary.
Okay, fair enough.
So Dan, who are a couple of like your favorite main character, your favorite secondary character?
Wonderful. I think I'm gonna have to go with Joffrey. Like his character development was. I'm kidding.
I was like,
I mean, interesting. I would be very curious to hear that if that was actually true.
No, like I said before, I like Jon Snow's story. That's my favorite storyline, and I also like Tyrion too.
Okay. So then let me ask a question, Kyle. I'll ask you guys each now a follow-up question. That's your favorite. Like we each have favorites. Who do you think was the best character? Because you mentioned storyline. Even if they're not our favorites, who do you think's been the best character overall?
Who's this for?
I'm asking it to Dan as a follow-up,
okay.
And I'll ask it to all of you.
Okay, because you said my name before, so.
Yeah, I thought you were talking about.
Sorry, guys. Sorry. So,
okay.
So Tyrion, Jon, favorites. Who do you think's been the best character of the show? In any way you choose to define them.
Jon.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Tom, are you still there?
Yes.
Just making sure.
You guys talk.
Thought you might have fallen asleep like Garrett. Look over and Garrett's sound asleep. Wow, I can't believe he got a shout out.
I would say he'll never know.
Yeah, he'll never hear it. So, Tom,
No.
That's great.
Oh, God.
There it is. There's the reference. So aside from Garrett, who's your favorite character? Favorite main character and favorite secondary character? Or one or
Honestly,
two
for
of each.
me, character
yes.
would be
Yeah.
Joffrey. I really like Joffrey. I thought they did a really good job with him. They made you hate him.
I was expecting you to say Cleveland.
Cleveland Brown is my favorite character.
Now, are you saying he's your favorite, or you think he's been the best character?
I thought he was the best character for sure.
Okay,
Because
best character. But what about? All right, sorry. Go ahead. Please continue.
You like the villains.
I really
Yeah, you
do. It's
do.
Game of Thrones, man. It's bad.
He's a Patriots fan. What do you expect?
True.
This is true.
True, very true.
So now, does that make him your favorite character as well?
I would say Tyrion's probably my favorite, or Jon.
Okay.
But I thought best acting for sure, and best. I really just thought it was the best character because you despised him every week.
Joffrey?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
Secondary has to be Podrick, of course, or Lyanna Mormont because she killed the giant.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
She
Wow.
went out like a queen.
Yeah. she
Total
did.
champ.
Kyle, who's your favorite main character?
Favorite main character is up until this past season, Tyrion. He was, from start to finish, he was fantastic and awesome in every way. Cersei's storyline also was really good and great. Yeah, I'll give it to. I don't know. Actually,
It's hard, right?
It is. I'll give it to Tyrion.
Okay.
He gets it. And then my favorite secondary character, I got two. I got my secondary character, and then I got my secondary character. So you'll know the difference in a second. So my favorite secondary character is Tormund, by far. He's he's hysterical. He's great. He adds so much to everything. Tormund for president.
Giant's move.
Giant's milk. And then my favorite secondary character is what's her name? I gotta look up who she is. Natalie Dormer's character.
Marjorie.
Marjorie
Marjorie
thank you.
Tyrell.
Yeah, because Natalie Dormer, she's whew.
All right.
I gotta say, I for one am shocked though that nobody picked Euron Greyjoy as their favorite secondary character.
This is listen, he'd be a favorite primary character. All right.
Hey, you don't say that.
So, I wouldn't pick Joffrey or Cersei or Euron just because I hate them.
So hold on. So can we all be in agreement that you're probably the worst character on the show?
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah.
100%.
Okay.
Well, I mean,
besides
Gilly.
Joffrey?
Listen, Gilly had more to do than Euron did.
Well, Dan, I think we could say over Joffrey, because Joffrey was a good villain, like Hannibal Lecter, Darth Vader. They're good villains. They bring
Euron
something.
just brought nothing.
Yeah, they bring something to the show. They're great protagonists. They, where Euron brought no good villainry to it. He just, let me bug my eyes out and say something weird. Ramsay, Joffrey, they did things to our characters we love, and that's what a show needs, is a good villain. But Euron was a fucking douche.
it's like a frat boy, basically.
Yeah, just bad acting, bad story, bad everything. So Kyle, Tyrion, you mentioned Cersei, Marjorie Tyrell, Tormund. Who's the best character?
Like the best storyline character, or the best
storyline, best what it brought to the show. Just interesting in terms of storytelling, dynamics, depth, complexity, all of it. Just a great overall character for the show.
Robb Stark.
Robb Stark?
Robb Stark.
Really?
Yeah.
Tell me why. Not that I disagree, but I want to hear your...
Because it's because of his flaws and his errors that truly led to the downfall of everything in the start of the real Game of Thrones.
Wow,
so
that's a great answer.
So Ned's decapitation, yeah, that's important. Joffrey being an asshole, yeah, that's important. but it's really Robb who, for a long period of time, had the South and the Lannisters on the ropes. And then he just made mistake after mistake after mistake after mistake, which led to the downfall of the North, essentially, and then led to the downfall of his house and really started the spiral effect on everything else. Because, like, think about it. Arya and her entire arc starts when she finds that that Robb has, been decapitated and been assassinated by the Freys. She got out of King's Landing, got back there, and that's when her and the Hound start up together. And then you look at Sansa, and Sansa's trapped in King's Landing the entire time while Robb is trying to march, and then finds out, Robb is dead, and now she's stuck there. Now she gets married off to Tyrion, and it goes forward from there. So there's definitely the most fallout from Robb in that storyline, and how he tried to pick. It really set the tone for the show, I think, with the whole Red Wedding and everything like that. Because people say, like, the decapitation of Ned set the tone because, like, you killed off your main character, this, that, the other thing. But I really think it started with Robb, because it showed definitively in the show that these characters cannot be happy. And that all of them cannot follow their heart or what they want to do or anything like that. So.
That's such a good answer. I like that. That's a good good monologue on Robb. Really
Thank
good.
You. Thank
good way
you.
to look at that. You're welcome.
And
sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to ask you, who are yours?
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I just want to say again, that's a great answer on Robb as being so, because he failed so bad, but the way you frame it in terms of how it impacted the story before and after. Good job. My favorite main characters are Jaime. I've been pretty clear about that. And Jon Snow. I like the epic hero, and he was an epic hero. Just such a good person all the way through. And as much as someone like Jaime, I like him because it's the redemptive arc and his journey is interesting to watch. I also do like a character that's good all the way through from start to finish as well. You don't have to start off like a crappy person and end up good in order for me to think it's a good character. So those are probably my two favorite main characters, with Tyrion right behind. And secondary characters, I love Sir Davos. Like Tormund, every time they're on the screen, it's great. Davos, just wise, pragmatic, funny, honorable. He was great. I'm glad he made it to the end. The best character. Yeah, the best characters, I think. I want to say Tywin, because I just loved him. I thought he was a great villain, but not a villain. He commanded the screen. He commanded the story. I do think that there was a jump the shark moment for the show a little bit when Tywin died, because it was such a massive void to fill, and they tried filling it with the High Sparrow, and it just didn't work. And I like that, Ned Stark and Robert Baratheon were the massive figures in Westeros, and then they're gone, and that's when Tywin emerges. So I like him, but I think the best character on the show was definitely Cersei Lannister. I mean, first of all, the acting. And second of all, the complexities and depth of that character, with the misogyny and the sexism and the narcissism. And first we hate her, and then we're feeling bad for her with the walk of shame. And then we hate her again because she, and then we feel bad for her when she's dying in Jaime's arms. The complexities and depths of her, I just thought, and the way she drove the show, the way she drove a lot of the plot and narratives and everything. She was a great character. Wasn't a favorite of mine, but I was like, damn, she's good. So that's my answer.
I dig it.
What else you got, Kyle?
All right, I got one question. This is going to be a speed question. It's going to be nice and simple. Don't need any sort of explanations. Just let us know the answer and then where to find the answer.
Lightning round.
Tom, now that Game of Thrones has ended and there's no more Game of Thrones coming out for a while with the prequels, what is one show you would recommend to our listeners to watch in the meantime?
Honestly, I've been watching the show The 100 on Netflix. It's so good.
That's also on CW Live, correct? Like, that's where it is?
It may be.
Yeah. Okay,
it is.
So Tom's with The 100. I dig it. Dan, one show you'd recommend?
Westworld.
Okay.
That's I think that's actually better than Game of Thrones. But that's just my personal opinion. It's
Yeah,
a great show.
When we start doing those reviews, it's gonna get really fucking trippy. It's
Yes,
gonna be great.
it's all about like consciousness. Where does consciousness come from? Like it's cool.
Yeah, it's gonna get fucking real with that. Those are gonna be out of this world reviews. And Rich,
Well, Dan took mine. Westworld was my immediate answer too. And 2 seasons in, I am worried now. Are they going to fall off like a lot of shows do, like Game of
Yep.
Thrones did a little bit?
Yeah.
But as far as perfection, Westworld is just, and same composer, Ramin Djawadi. I can't think of another show to suggest aside from that. I want to give something different. Honestly, I'm just taking a quick look at something. I got nothing else at the moment except
okay,
if
you could have the same one.
the only other one I'll say quick if you haven't already, clearly Stranger Things, but Westworld is definitely-
Absolutely that too.
Yeah.
So.
Stranger Things on the list. Mine, I'll give 2. One for Rich, and specifically Rich, Avatar: The Last Airbender. Go watch it. And
Pretty good.
It's fantastic. It's one of the best storylines front to back. And then for the rest of the listeners here, Barry on HBO.
Oh yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah,
Season
good show.
2 is out of this world right now. It is awesome. So 10 out of 10.
Have you finished it yet, Rich?
Yeah, I finished it last
Yeah.
night. I mean, it's a short season; it's only 8 episodes.
Right.
And 30-minute episodes, so they go by quick, and it's an easy binge. It's definitely worth.
Good
There are
cliffhanger.
always great shows that have like the one standout episode that wins a bunch of Emmys, like Battle of the Bastards and Hard Home. And there's an episode this season in Barry that's like it's gonna win a ton of Emmys. It was just outstanding. And so I will watch Avatar: The Last Airbender. When it's made available somewhere, I can watch it. But what I would recommend to you and Dan, especially, and to anyone, the first 4 seasons, not the last season of Dexter. It did fall off, but Dexter for 4 seasons was the best show I had ever seen.
Yeah, I need to.
Really?
That's a show.
It was a combination of Shakespeare and Batman. Some of the things I saw, it was just a perfectly orchestrated, filmed, acted storyline show for 4 seasons. It was perfect, like Breaking Bad, perfect. So
Cool.
watch Dexter.
Word.
Okay, so much for lightning round. Sorry.
Yeah. That was for us. That was a lightning round. All right.
Yeah, it's just a good point.
That's it for Game of Thrones. That is over. It is done. Our watch has ended. For watch out for next week when me and Dan do a review of we're doing Aladdin.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
And
that'll
Disney
be
movies.
yeah, and other Disney live action movies. So that'll be coming out next week since Rich is away. So me and Dan will run that one. Tom, you're more than welcome to jump on if you watch Aladdin before then.
I probably won't.
Yeah, it's for the better.
I'm gonna pass on that. Yeah.
All right, word for me, Dan, Rich, and Tom. Tom, thanks for jumping on. Special guest, friend of the show. Appreciate
Thanks for
it.
having
Yeah.
Yeah, that is it for Game of Thrones. Let's start moving forward with the rest of our lives now.
What is dead
Have a
may
good
never
one.
die.
Vala Margulis.
Yeah. I'll be back with Game of Thrones podcasts. Don't worry.